Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. And today I'm gonna do another video on Saturn entering in Pisces. I think I'm gonna do a few more. Just doing some research and realizing just how deep and big this is, even though we'll be still covering more stuff, you know, even when the transit is happening and whatnot or whatever. Um, I think it's a lot to unpack and understand what's happening and how to prepare because this is also a part of that, both the 3 month follow-up as to where you are, where you're at, right? Because then you have the real new year. Um, and also it's the follow-up from the winter solstice as the seasons change and we'll be moving from winter to spring. These are two very pivotal moments with so much change going on. I just think that it's super important to understand what that shift is like, as much as I can possibly help people understand, because the energy is going to change this year. It is not going to be nothing like what we've experienced over the last few years. And the more you follow the trajectory of the planets, the better you can understand why this shift is so important. So without further ado, before I just go off and start talking your ear off, again, family, I did do another video on this. Please feel free at any given time to go back to that video where I went into details as the last time we had it, the history, and some of the things you can expect from that perspective of it. But this is just more like the Saturn and Pisces energy together and understanding the first 7 degrees that it's going to cover only this year. And then I think next video I'm going to cover for 2024, it's going to go into a different degree and more degrees of the transit. And you're going to get a different kind of energy, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So Saturn enters Pisces in March. We've had a parade of planets moving through Pisces. Uranus was in Pisces in 2003 to 2010. And then Chiron and Neptune went into Pisces in 2011, and it left Chiron in 2019, which is interesting. It was right before the pandemic until 2020. And Neptune, it'll be in Neptune until 2026. That's the one to be on the lookout the most. And obviously, I'll keep you posted on that transit as well. And I've already done videos on that as well, because it's tracking all the way from 2011. You understand? Every time a planet goes through a sign from that date all the way through that date, just think every single year, every single transit, how many times Neptune and Pisces communicated with all the other transits that were taking place throughout that year. This is very important to understand when you're talking about predictions and what's different and what's happening in your life. Okay, that's another one to watch out for. And then Jupiter. Jupiter just had a transit in Pisces that it just wrapped up this year. Um, and it was 20, yeah, so it started December of 2021. And then it stepped into Aries for a little bit and went into retrograde, back into Pisces, and then direct back while still in Pisces till the end of the year, and then went back into Aries. So that was a complete cycle of that. Jupiter is only 1 year. And so that's important to keep in mind as well. So the Pisces area of your chart has had a lot of change, transition, and inconsistencies, right? Especially from other lifetimes and dimensions. We've been ending karmic cycles, closing soul contracts. helping us realize what we're complete from and what we're letting go of and how we're meant to rise up and evolve. And I think we're going to see this more in 2024, but it's going to start from especially people who have Pisces or any placements really at 7 degrees because it'll be communicating some way, shape, or form, whether positive or negative, with Saturn and Pisces. Okay. Um, so whenever we're talking about Pisces, we learn that we are always connected to the divine because it's very ethereal, imaginative, creative from a higher perspective, kind of like Uranus energy. Um, and so you also have very creative, imaginative energy attached to Pisces. We're connecting to new dreams and new ways to manifest because this is about your faith and your spiritual practices. Remember, Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. And so you're also incorporating Jupiter anytime you're having a conversation about Pisces, you're also talking about Jupiter. It's important to remember that and what Jupiter means to spirituality, which is like higher education or becoming some kind of guru within a spiritual belief or practice. I think we're going to see a lot of that growing and manifesting with this transit. Um, and Pisces being the last sign is about endings, right? What has dissolved and what has been removed. Pisces is illusions, propaganda, where we want to disconnect from the real world, from the heaviness, the density, the burdens, and the matrix, the 3D. We want to disconnect from that. Another way to look at Pisces energy is like Scorpio energy, where you go to hide away because it is the things that we do behind the scenes that nobody sees. It doesn't just have to be behind the scenes that nobody sees, but that's definitely one aspect. So this also can incorporate some dark night of the soul energy. I often reflect on the Pisces energy when I'm thinking about how I did time in prison. And people, you've been watching me for a while now. This is not a secret. You can go right on my website and see my story. Um, and how that is also a dark night of the soul going through prison because it is a energy of what it means to learn how to be by yourself, which is all a dark night of the soul is to me, is to get more in tuned with who you are and being comfortable with being by yourself. It's like your own healing system when you learn how to master that energy, when you know when it's time to step away from the hustle and bustle, the noise, right? To fight bigger battles, whether they're internal or external. Here, Pisces and Scorpio energy in that way can be very similar, where you learn how to choose whether or not you're going to give that a fight physically in the 3D or if you're going to fight it in your dark night of the soul process, which is where we go to deal with issues, to ask the tough questions and make good decisions, right? Um, so Pisces is a lot of that, where you want to disconnect from the world and the heaviness and the density of it because it can be too much, especially for water sign people in general. I think it tends to be more heavier for them. And the only reason why I can relate so well is because I have a Cancer moon in my 10th house, where normally I have to cultivate this type of energy when I'm in the workplace, because that's what the 10th house is, or being a boss or owning your own business and things of that nature. And it is super important as an emotional person, especially with your moon. I'm going to be posting actually just a minute here at some point today on the importance of understanding your moon sign. I think I've posted stuff in the past, and you're more than welcome to go back to both pages and check and see what I've done. It's important to know your moon sign because it can be how you react to things, how you deal with issues, and how you make decisions. And if you're making them in an irrational from a water place space, 9 times out of 10, it might not have been the best decision, right? And so, what water energy is to me is learning how to master being in a dark night of the soul, even when you're around people, which is also the outcome of Aquarius energy. How do you be in a group of people without losing yourself unapologetically? This is the epitome of knowing who you are and your I am. Um, okay. This could also be the things that we don't want to interact with, but might still be surrounded by. This is what I was talking about. This is what I learned when I was in prison because I was always surrounded by people. I had to share a shower, I had to eat with other people. I had to cultivate with people, even in free time and free space. And there is a gift, a skill when you understand how to block people out, even in a room full of vultures. That is a real saying. I think these are very Piscean and Scorpionic language. So we look for another outlet here, another way to experience energy and disconnect, like our vices. And you have to be careful with vices, especially when we're talking about Pisces energies, because these are typically, and 9 times out of 10, on a lower vibration, the things that end up turning into addictions, like watching porn. Remember, when we're talking about things that we do behind the scenes that people typically don't see, this is also behind a screen, behind a desk, behind a phone, um, you know, you know, anything that you are behind, you know, like when I talk about this using the directors, directors are behind, they are the person who's, recording everything and kind of dictating behind the curtain, so to speak. This is very much that kind of energy. We can even be talking about secret governments here. Pisces is also incorporated in that conversation when we're talking about scorpionic energy and how it rules, sex trafficking, um, and rape and, things that go on behind in the workplace. I can get so much into this, and I feel like sometimes we only talk about the basics of the energy that you don't understand how vast this is. And so when you're getting a reading and people start to expand on the amount of information that can come up in one reading and you don't understand how, study more and then just one place when you're looking for Pisces energy, Scorpio energy, because it's a lot. Literally, I'm talking at least 2 to 3 hours for each and every sign, maybe even more than that when you want to understand what they cover in total. So me doing a 30 or 40-minute video, I promise you I'm doing you injustice. Continue researching, go deeper if you want to know more, because I'm not always covering everything. I'm just trying to give you an idea. Um, so going on a bit of a tangent here, but I think it's important to say that out loud because it's a lot. Um, okay, so how we escape or where we go to take a break, connecting to other realms, fantasy and glamour, because Pisces rules Hollywood. Ooh, hey, this gonna be a tough question. Sorry, I should not be excited about somebody's failure. But Pisces rules Hollywood, and with Saturn coming here, as you're gonna learn and hear, Saturn is going to tear and rip through the entertainment industry. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Going back to what I was saying about Pisces and Scorpionic energy, how they're similar in that way, because these are things that are hidden, things that are hidden. Scorpio are things that are hidden deep, whether that's psychological, things that we've stuffed underneath us and haven't dealt with that can come up that you have to go deep to find. And Pisces is the things that happen behind the scenes, like how it all happened. And if you want to get technical, and Pisces is also a very sexual sign. It's a sign of duality. It's a mutable sign, much like Gemini energy. I don't care what anybody says. You think you know? You have no idea. Shit's about to get real, y'all. And I, for one, am excited about it. Um, And so when we're talking about fantasy, this is like playing video games, getting lost in your mind. Remember Pisces rules illusions, delusions, deja vu, daydreaming, dreams. And so that dream state is connected to the fantasy and the unrealistic fantasy, the illusions and delusions, or the state that your brain goes into when you do drugs and alcohol. And that also plays a role into why it's so connected to your vices and the things that you do to help you take your mind off of, so to speak, or to free things that you do in your free time. This is even like binge watching television, TV shows, a TV series person, um, somebody who it's the things that you do while laying in your bed or what you do before you go to bed. Um, okay, I'm reaching now. So, um, I think we're going to see a lot about beauty because Pisces, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, right? And because it rules Hollywood and on that lower vibration of Pisces energy is the victim mentality, not taking accountability for the reasons why your life is. It's very crab in the barrel type energy mixed in with, the culture of the entertainment. And so when we're talking about beauty, we're talking about the toxic standards or idealized ideas we have around beauty and fashion and um, weight loss and heavy set body types, these types of things here. I'm almost positive we're going to see a lot more about the sex industry. Unfortunately, I think it's actually going to be closed and or they're going to start charging people for porn or to watch porn. They're going to turn it into a commodity somehow, some way. We'll see though. Um, but the standards and the idealized, unrealistic, and not healthy ideas that we have about those types of things are also going to be a really big theme during this time. We might question what is true or real because it's much like Gemini energy here, where it rules the media in a sense, because we're talking about entertainment and the things that we watch. Um, and so how much of that stuff is real? Especially when you start talking about, oh, people are being sacrificed. This is so Pisces energy. Scorpio too. It's both, the trust and belief in that way. They're both water signs, so they understand these topics quite well. Um, um, I think we're going to see a lot of how we've been blinded or what has been hidden to a lot of truths through television, media, in the entertainment industry in general. Um, or we're just being bombed with information that we can't figure out what's real. It's a distraction. I think we can all agree to that, right? And that's where it starts to get real scorpionic, where we're like, um, we go on these like conspiracy theory trips and things of that nature. And I think I said this in my Pluto and Aquarius um video, how a lot of people who was like high heavy conspiracy theorists are going to find out that a lot of those things that people were saying were quite true, right? And all the secrecy behind how the entertainment industry is ran is going to come up in a major way. Just saying. Um, um, it also rules drugs and alcohol and addiction and the substances we use to disconnect from reality. Um, And I feel like I could say so much more, but I think you guys get the gist with that. And then Saturn enters this all those themes in this space for the first time. And anytime Saturn enters a sign for the first time, it kills a vibe. You know, Saturn's um a cock blocker. Oh my God, Saturn is such a cock blocker. Um, and so the person that I was watching a video on this specific topic said something very interesting to just picture as if this was a nightclub. And we're in there and we partying, we drunk, we high, whether it's literal or just off the vibe in general. Y'all know what club scene is like, bitch. Don't act like you ain't never been there. Right? And Saturn comes in and it's like the lights turn on, the music comes off, and you start to looking around like, oh shit, that bitch really isn't as cute as I thought she was a moment ago. Was I just kissing that motherfucker? Y'all know y'all be doing that shit in the clubs. Don't look at me like that. Um, you're gonna see how filthy everything is, and the dirt and the grime and the gunk all over the place that you couldn't see because we were in the dark about a lot of these things. So just imagine whatever area of life, whatever house Pisces rules in your chart, that this is happening for you and the lights just turn on. But you're used to being in darkness. You're used to having rose-colored glasses, and now you're seeing 2020. You know, you're seeing things for what they really are. This could be a shock. Unfortunately, I hate to say this because of some of the things that Saturn rules, which we'll get more into as we get more into this transit. But for the sake of this topic and conversation, Saturn is depression, and in the house of Pisces, this is very not safe. Okay, I see a lot of people committing suicide because they can't handle the truth. You know, imagine living in a lie for 20, 30, 50 years and then the lights turn on and you start to realize like, yo, for that amount of time, I've been doing this all wrong, or like what happened to me over the summer. Like I've had disconcerting moments in my life where I've told some of those stories on here. But for the most part, all of those stories that I shared were outside of me. They were things happening external to me. But this year, when it happened, it was all based off of decisions that I made for myself. And when I didn't see those things follow through, then I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, does that mean I'm not like making good decisions? Does that mean that like I don't really know what it means to build whatever it is I'm trying to build? Like all of these questions started coming up, and I tell you, I was like slipping deeper and deeper and deeper into a depression. And it was like I was outside of my body looking at myself continuously, just like, fuck the world, fuck everybody. I'm not shit. It was horrible, right? It was just a downtrodden, and I think that's like what Saturn energy does. And a lot of people, especially if you have mental health issues, Pisces rules your mental health, your mental stability, mental health hospitalizations and institutions, hospitals. Um, I don't like it. Okay. You see a lot of these things when people go to prison, like, yo, I have to stay here for the rest of my life for 15 years, for 20 years, 10, 3, even 5. Mm-mm. You have to have the type of mental capacity to deal with Saturn entering any fucking sign. You need to be grounded to go through that. It's not going to be easy for people who already struggle with these things or already had issues that were coming up that were making them very unhappy. If you are not healing and you are not doing the work, this is not going to be a fucking game. I think we're going to see a lot more deaths this year, unfortunately. and a lot more suicides and a lot more people coming up with mental health issues or just health issues in general. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm having these conversations with you to prepare you. Look out for the people that you care about the most, but more importantly, check in with yourself. Be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell me whether this is good or bad for you. I'm saying if you know you got some mental health issues or some psychological issues that you've let sit already for too long and you don't want to deal with them, if you're on this page and you get mad if I say Sagittarius this and Pisces that and Scorpio this and this shit triggers you, go get some fucking help because it's going to intensify at this time and you are not going to be able to see what's real and what's not. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And you got to get to the truth in order to get out of any situation. So, um, I think, all right. I think, um, we're going to be looking at this area of our life like, whoa, this isn't as fun as I thought after all. So, we are in this unexpected reality check. On top of all that, Saturn's like, we're shutting this place down because you haven't paid your rent. You're not even paying your bills. So there's an indication that the illusion is over. Ask all the people what if what I'm saying right now is true that just had a Saturn return in Aquarius. Go ahead and ask them. Go ahead and ask them if they didn't fucking lose their shit at one specific point in time in their life, like, yo, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And this really boils down to even a lot, I think, for even like people perhaps who are quote unquote doing okay, or appear to be doing okay. They can still, these are what I call the functioning alcoholics, whether you're an actual alcoholic or not. You found a little bit of spirituality enough to get you through the days, and you get up, you still work hard, you do what you got to do type of energy. Um, but again, you're making all your own decisions. I think this can be very self-inflicting, where we're going to see a lot of people downtrodden here or having to go back in some way, shape, or form to reconsider or revise or rethink this area of their life and how they're dealing with it. Your faith is going to be tested. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And the thing that I like the most for the first this planet on this transit only going through the first 7 degrees for this year is that you get the opportunity to get up on top of it at this time, which unfortunately is going to look like a lot of chaos. It's going to be all the lower vibrational things that you can fucking imagine that come out at you. Like, yeah, no, I don't. I deny that true. That is not true. I highly advise you not to deny it. Um, like whenever a retrograde comes around and people are like, oh, my ex is coming back, and all these old things come back when things are in retrograde, I always encourage people to address it. Remember, Pisces is the ethereal world. These can be like ghosts coming back to haunt you, paralysis while sleeping because you're out having an outer body experience. Address those things. We're talking about the dream state now. And what do you do in all the movies that talk about dream state and sleep, like Freddie and all that? All he wanted to do was be acknowledged of what was wrong. So instead of being fearful of this energy, address it head on. Do not run, do not try to hide things. I promise you it's going to make your life worse. And it can lead to health issues. But ultimately there's an indication that the illusion is over. What isn't real is being exposed, and this shift is real. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to name this post. The shift is real, bitches. Okay, y'all better be ready. I'm not playing. Um, it's gonna hurt. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna hurt. Saturn brings truth to the illusion that we enjoyed these things. We subscribe to these things. We enjoyed witnessing or participating in these things. And those are all gonna be highlighted. Do you surf the web and don't take the things that are sitting in front of you that you could use as tools to help you when you're going through something? Are you just scrolling or are you being intentional? Um, if you have a practice and you're some kind of practitioner or guru or coach, anything, you are going to be tested. Are you really a coach? What are you doing in your life that reflects that you have the ability to be somebody's coach? These are all going to be things that are going on. So much like Jupiter being in Aries, it's the self taking accountability that we're going to be addressing the most over the next few years. Also, education. I think a lot of short courses. I don't see so much like 4 year, 5 year college things being a thing anymore, unless you're going to be a doctor or somebody within a higher spectrum. I think a lot more people are going to take training courses, um, seminars, uh, things of this nature. Because of that, we had that Gemini North Node energy, and Gemini don't do uh uh, long term anything. It's small courses and things, vocationals, training programs, trade programs, things that already that teach you a skill, especially with Jupiter and Aries. This is very engineering like. And so they want to get to the root, Aries, they don't got no fucking patience, okay? They want to get right to the root. Okay, what is my problem? Okay, if that's my problem and that's what I need to know, that's what I need to learn right here, right now. So there will be very specific to a thing that you need to learn, as if it's like a additional piece of education and knowledge you need to know to add on to what's going to help you evolve through this process. I even think mentorship and studying under somebody. I talked a lot about these things already in the other video, and the importance of having like a mentorship program to help people, especially with business. I mean, I think this is relevant for any training program, to be quite frank, especially if you're new and you're trying something like we have a lot of people out here doing tarot. I'm not talking about tarot, okay? I'm not saying anything about anybody, but what I'm saying is there's a lack of structure by way of who teaches those classes. Is there a format? Saturn wants structure. You understand what I'm saying? A system that says this is the school that you go to learn tarot, then you learn up underneath somebody for another 2 years before you start doing your own thing, or as and while you're doing your own thing. Um, and then you go off on your own, you get your first clients, but you still have a mentor, somebody that you're connected to that you could go back to and say, hey, just checking in. How are things going for you with your business since you took your class, and things of that nature? There has to be a system to this lifestyle that we want so bad, that's like self-employment, because Saturn wants you to be the best that you can be. It wants you to be structured while you're doing it. It wants you to have a solid plan for the long term. Saturn is like fine wine. Things get better as they age. And so there has to be a system that can track the proof of that, right? Um, and so I can go on and on because I'm very passionate about these topics. But, you know, um, these are the things that are going to be highlighted. Saturn is like it's like your etiquette, your proper etiquette, so how to do something right, and legacy. When you turn 15, 14, they have like those little things. It's like your badge of independence, or that you're old enough for something like those types of things, and systems need to be incorporated in the things that we do as a way to say you are qualified to do what it is you say you're doing. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I'm trying to make a point here, fam. Okay? Like, um, and so yeah, uh we're going to see where we were fine being ignorant in the dark and not looking for the details. All those things are going to be highlighted. We might see more businesses closing, more shutdowns, because Saturn has been testing these old structures, providing ways and solutions for them to stay open. Like now, everybody's on Zoom, or they have online businesses and things of that nature. We can see businesses changing their formats in this way. I think I did talk about that in other videos as well. I do think that there will be a lot more flexibility in the workplace moving forward. We have to remember the opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So we got to meet somewhere halfway with this transit with Virgo, which is all about the workplace, your healthcare system, doctor's appointments, your daily routines, your health routines, your hygiene. And so I think we're going to see a lot of themes coming up around the lack thereof, those things that could be I don't want to say causing health issues, but how do you hold the people accountable for those types of things? You would think that they would be common sense, but I just feel like in some way, shape, or form, for the safety, the public health safety of the people, that it's best that we do a flexible schedule. We don't need to be in the office all the time. Some things are going to be allowed online, or it'll be like a mixture, like maybe 2 days you're in the office, 3 days you're online, or something to those effects, those themes, especially with Pluto moving into Aquarius, because that's the type of work Aquarius rules. And I'll talk more about this, obviously, again, family, but again, just to give you an idea, I do think we'll see a lot of those changes being normalized. Retail stores closing because they couldn't readjust to the change in society or change with the times. Probably more nightclub, bars, and restaurants, unfortunately, are going to close again, going back to that a public health issue. I really think that that's what it's going to be, if you want my honest opinion, when it comes to making some of these rules more permanent. And we'll see these changes over the next 3 years. So it's important to know this, to know how to assess our own life and what stays and what closes. So Saturn is going to show us what's strong enough. If it doesn't have a foundation or it isn't established, it's going to close, it's going to end. Saturn also isn't interested in potential, meaning oh, you do this and this is the outcome that you have, so this is the reality of it, but the reality isn't real. This is somebody who's operating like, again, somebody who says they're a guru, but they might smoke or go clubbing. I don't fucking know. Whatever it is, it'll be unethical, right? To what a guru should be like. Meanwhile, you're teaching people one thing. The reality of that and what you're doing and who you claim to be, your reputation, how you present yourself to the world is going to be highlighted here in some way that you're going to have to change. Um, blah, blah, blah. Saturn has standards. Its favorite phrase is do not disturb, do not continue, do not go down this path, do not give your power away, do not further commit. So in the Pisces area of life, this is going to be a theme. No more sacrificing things that don't honor who you are. This is where we start to learn more business etiquette things like budgeting, even though that's Taurus as well. But for the sake of talking about, what it means to be responsible and structured and disciplined and have boundaries, um, It's like somebody who says, I'm going to work this job until I start my own business. No, 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 no. That's not how that should be stated. Saturn's going to say, no, start your business, do what little bit you can, use that job as leverage for your business. Give yourself a timeline, make sure you're getting a raise and you're not settling. If you have to be at a job for 5 years, let's say, to get your business up and running successfully financially, right? You have to have a plan that says how much money you need to do that and live before your business starts bringing in income. And then, even then, I would still stay another year and start saving then so that your business can have equity, right? And a lot of people already are going to be looking at me like, the fuck are you talking about? A lot of us learned what the fuck I'm talking about in 2020 as we jumped in and started all these businesses. You can't start a business if you don't have money. And if you want to do it the right way, to pay for services gets you adequate services and help and mentorship. To do that, you have to have money to do that. Those people have their own businesses. They're not going to give you shorts. But when you deal with these nonprofits and these places that are giving you money or other services, they're still on a consumerism mind. Or again, there's a level that it goes to. I talked about this all 2022, so I'm about to digress because I can talk about this shit all day. This video will be 800 hours long. But what I'm saying is that there is a way to make better decisions around certain things, whatever it is, and Saturn's going to show you how to do that, right? It's about, again, etiquette, discipline, being responsible, and committing to that. That's all Saturn wants to teach people, right? So if you're somebody who's like, um, I'm just going to get this job to get it because you need it to survive. That's not going to fly this time around. I'm sorry. You're going to have a plan to get out because these structures are unstable. They're non-existent. So if you knew your job was going to end tomorrow, what would your plan be today? And there's certain ways to do that, certain ways to pay your bills, to finagle a bagel in a way that gives you more money to work with, but you're still somewhat in congruence with your bills and that your bills are being paid and things of that nature. Um, what's another really good example? Um, um, yeah, I feel like I've covered whatever I can. I think the bottom line to that is that we have a consumer mind trying to start a business, which could lead to self-employment, and you're still a slave to your self-employment because there's no growth within the system that you have. And Saturn's like, no, I want you to grow within that so that you can hire people. You can have now people working for you and pay people, and your business grows and expands to the point where you get some type of retirement. You know, Saturn is your elderly, your retirement, your retirement plan. You know, how do you build those things? Again, especially if your job ends tomorrow. Do you have money to live after your job ends? You have to prepare for those types of things. Okay. Um, very, very real stuff, family. Okay. If you have this type of thinking, Saturn is going to bring these things front and center, asking you to be honest with yourself, hold yourself accountable. And once you implement these tools, then you become accountable, responsible, and committed. And again, that's all Saturn wants. Saturn is also going to show us how we are walking in our spiritual talk and living from them and with them. So again, um, becoming what we practice, or practicing what you preach. Um, it's not the simple path or the one that everyone chooses, but when you plan and do the work and you still get up every day knowing that you're in your power, this is how you build faith and intuition, by the way. Saturn gives you rewards. So people can either be coming in from a Saturn being in Aquarius. What did you learn from Saturn being in Aquarius? There are going to be some awards being given out at this time. There are going to be some blessings. There are going to be some expansions. There are going to be some people who are going to be winning this season because they did the hard work from the Saturn and Aquarius um transit. Now, you're still going to have to deal with the Pisces stuff. This was when you have some good shit happening in your life, but that one fucking nagging issue that you know you're going to have to deal with for God knows who or how long. It's just life. But you'll also again reap the rewards as you build through and continue what you learned from Aquarius and the rewards that you received. Celebrate it, acknowledge it, know exactly what it is, and how can you implement those same things into this Pisces area of your life, okay? This will make it not so bad. Doesn't mean that you're not going to experience things, but you'll most likely have a lighter time because again, we're talking about Jupiter, which is wisdom. I think I'm going to post something about this too, which I think I've have in the past. And all it is the difference between someone who's smart and someone who has wisdom. Right? And so a smart person, um, say you're a coach and one of your mentees wants you to come and watch them speak. And you're like, sure, absolutely. I'll be there to support you. And then they come right up to you and they say, I want you to critique me. How did you think I did? A smart person might not catch it and they're going to tell them exactly what they asked for. But a person with wisdom is going to know that this is not the time to have that conversation. This is about acknowledging where you did go. Celebrate the moment that you got up on stage and spoke in front of thousands of hundreds of people. And that's not an easy task to do. Revel in that, own it, receive it, sit with it, reflect on it, and leave it where it is for a minute. Then maybe processing in 2 weeks, you come back and you be like, is there anything I could have done better? And that's when the wise person steps in and says, well, you could have done ba 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 ba. And it's not what they say, but how they say it. They're not going to be like, well, you know what I'm saying, right? You got the gist now. So we're also learning that within this process. Saturn shows us where we did good, where we did a good job and where we've grown. Um, you learned a lot and completed a cycle. It shows you when you was willing to still get up, even when you didn't want to. Saturn is the wise teacher, even though it can be strict, it shows you where you've healed and gained some spiritual maturity. And I think that's going to be a blessing that I highly advise anybody who's experiencing to sit with, honor, celebrate, sit with it, own it, recognize it, write some stuff down, and process for a little while before you move on to the next thing. If you have been resisting change, been stuck in a loop, a pattern, if something is in front of you and you haven't used it for your spiritual growth, Saturn is going to test it. If you blame others or have self-pity or the victim mentality, Saturn is going to come in and say, that's not acceptable anymore. So again, there's going to be a lot of learning. I think we're going to see a lot of people going back to school, ethical classes, moral compasses changing, beliefs changing, world views changing, and a lot of courses and things being taken on a lot of these themes that I've mentioned throughout this entire video. So y'all know, family, I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but as usual, I really, really hope that the message is getting through. You're learning something. I would really appreciate some comments saying that, or to show some appreciation with some likes and sharing the video, to let me know that you're getting these things, that they're actually really helping. It's a lot, I know. It's a lot. So this isn't a complaint, just an ask. And as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of y'all. Peace.